Welcome. My name is Samantha Attard. I'm a wellness coach, yoga instructor, nutrition PhD living in Washington, D.C., helping you live your happiest and healthiest life. And today we're going to be talking about the new nutrition facts panel. So thank you so much for joining. Okay, so what's been going on with the nutrition facts panels? It has taken a long time to get everything together, but we finally have new regulations from the FDA about our nutrition facts panel. And the first major change that's happening is that we've taken away calories from fat. A lot of you guys know that more and more research has been coming out to show that fat is not bad for us, that it's not something that we should be necessarily trying to limit in our diets, and now the Nutrition Facts panel is reflecting that, and that we no longer have a calories from fat listing, because it's not as much about the amount of fat you're having, it's about the type of fat that you're having. So in our total fats on our Nutrition Facts panel, we're still going to be listing things like saturated fats, unsaturated fats, as well as trans fats, but it's not as much about how much is in there, it's about the different types. So the first major change that's happening is that we're not listing the calories from fat, we're just listing the different types of fats and the amounts of fats that we have for each of those. The really huge change that I'm so excited about has to do with serving sizes. If any of you guys have ever looked at some package that you think is a single serve package and then you realize there's actually 2 or 3 servings in there, that is no longer going to be the case. The FDA is updating what they think are considered one serving so that they actually reflect what we eat. Right now, if you look at a cereal, for example, some of the cereals, the serving is 1/4 of a cup, some of the servings of cereal is 1/2 a cup, sometimes it's a full cup. It can get really confusing and really hard to compare between different products to figure out how much sugar is in there, how much protein, how much fat. So now the FDA is standardizing these servings and making it so that all of this different of a similar type of product will all have the same serving size, and this is so useful because it makes it so much easier to actually tell how much is in each package and each thing that you're eating. The other thing that's really important about this change with your serving sizes is that it's also going to have you list how much calories are in each serving as well as in the whole package. And that is going to be truly amazing, because you'll be able to see if you eat the whole package of cookies, what is going to be in there, not just one serving. They're not making you do the math yourself anymore, and this is just an amazing change that's going to be super helpful. So serving size, calories from fat, these are some awesome changes that are coming to the Nutrition Facts panel. The other really huge and amazing one is added sugars. So no longer do we have to try to guess about how much sugar is added versus naturally occurring in a product. It's now going to be coming straight to you right there on the Nutrition Facts panel. So the Nutrition Facts panel is now going to be including added sugars, which is a very wonderful thing, because we'll be able to tell which products have sugar naturally occurring, something like yogurt or milk, which already has some carbohydrates in there naturally occurring, versus products that are added. So using that example of yogurt, if you buy a package of plain yogurt, it's going to have 6 or 7 carbs in it, 6 or 7 grams of sugar in it, just naturally. Milk has lactose, which is a sugar. But if you buy things like peach yogurt, it might have 10, 15, 18, even 20 grams of sugar in it, and that's because about 10 to 12 of those grams are going to be added sugar, so that's not naturally occurring sugar. Finally, the FDA decided that they want to actually tell us this difference between the naturally occurring and added sugars, and it'll now be telling us what added sugars are included. So that's a very exciting change. How many grams of sugar do we need normally? I want to make a distinction here between carbohydrates and sugar. So sugar is a carbohydrate. All sugars are carbs, but not all carbs are technically sugars. And if we actually talk about added sugars and things that are just like table sugar, you really don't need any. If we're talking about carbohydrates in general, then we do want to be getting over 100 grams per day, even close to 200 grams of carbohydrates each day. But we want these to be coming from whole foods, things like vegetables and fruits, some high protein grains, some starches like from our beans, not from just table sugar or sodas or drinks and beverages. So that's a distinction between carbohydrates and naturally occurring whole foods carbohydrates and just plain sugar and table sugar that we get from a lot of our packaged processed foods. The FDA is now going to be including a limit on the amount of sugar that's in products, meaning that they're going to say that there's a % daily value that you should get, and this tops out at 50 grams in a 2,000 calorie diet. So they'll say that getting up to 50 grams per day of added sugars in your diet is okay. Note that you don't even need to get this much. You can actually do very well with a lot less sugar than even you see in that 50 grams. When does this take effect on the shelves? When do the labeling updates actually happen? So these labeling updates actually aren't going to be fully implemented until the middle of May in 2018. So May 2018 for most food manufacturers is when the changes will happen, and then May 2019 for very small food producers. So we do have some time before these updates take place, but there's still some really important lessons that we can learn about these changes, because they're changes that have been a long time coming and really help us to see what we should be looking into today when we look at our products. So yes, they're going to be updating serving sizes, for example, but what that also means is that now we have to be really careful about our serving sizes. And when we do look at cereals, at packages, at Pepsis and sodas and drinks, we need to look and see, okay, how many servings in each container are there? What is one serving size? And am I really gonna only eat one serving? So this is really, really important. I'm just afraid companies will start using artificial sugars like sucralose and aspartame to lower the sugar content. And definitely that is a concern and definitely will likely happen. But there's also likely to be a lot of reformulation that happens to just lower sugar naturally, because people are not going to want to see those high numbers. So there is good news. There is going to be a lot of reformulation that happens. It's still going to be important to look out for your artificial sweeteners if that's something you're staying away from, but it's also important to know that there is going to be some decreases in the sugar levels. So to finish up about these added sugars, there's one thing that we do really want to be aware of, and that's fruit. So fruit juices are not going to be considered an added sugar. So if it's a fruit juice, a 100% pure fruit juice, or a fruit puree, so if you like mash up a banana, it will not be considered an added sugar. And this is a really important distinction. The FDA says, you know what, we're not going to include them as an added sugar, because if it is a pure fruit, then it is also coming along with wonderful nutrients, potentially some fiber, and other polyphenols that are really good for us and for our body, the vitamins, minerals that we all need. But if it is a fruit juice that comes from concentrate or any sort of fruit syrup, they will count it as an added sugar. So this is a little loophole that's really important to know, because you might have something, what's going to happen a lot is there's going to be a lot of products that say they are naturally sweetened, or let's say a banana muffin that only has bananas and dates in it and doesn't include regular sugar. So they're going to make it look like their added sugars are really, really low, but ultimately you're still getting a lot of calories and potentially a blood glucose spike from those fruits and vegetables, or the fruits, excuse me, and those fruit juices. So it's a little bit of a difficult situation. If you do have diabetes, obviously it's going to be really important to still look at the total carbohydrates and the total levels of sugar. If you do not have diabetes but you're concerned about your blood sugar, again, looking at total carbs and total levels of sugar is going to be really important. For most of us, it's going to be great if we move more towards these natural sweeteners, because as the FDA says, they do have those added fiber, added vitamins, minerals. There is some nutritional benefit to them. However, note that it still is a carbohydrate. It still is sugar. It still is increasing your blood sugar, causing an insulin response, and potentially going to relate to a blood sugar crash later in the day. So it's something to be really aware of depending on how your body feels when you do have sugar. And if you are finding that you're not feeling good after having certain products, it might be important to see, okay, is there actually a bunch of sugar in here that's not really listed on the label? So that's something to be very much aware of. The other important things, so we talked about added sugars, serving sizes, the changes to the fat calories. Also, there's going to be changes in some of the vitamins and minerals that are going to be listed. They'll now be listing potassium on all of our labels, as well as vitamin D, and we won't be listing the vitamin A and vitamin C content. And this just reflects the fact that many more people are having issues with many more people are having issues with getting enough vitamin D and getting enough potassium versus getting enough A and C. Talking about potassium and how important potassium is for helping reduce your sodium levels and helping you to balance out some of that sodium in your body, as well as to help your body the electrolytes in your body and really making sure your muscles are working strong and healthy. So potassium is super important. If we're not getting a lot of plant-based foods, we're not going to be getting enough of our potassium. So as long as you're eating a great, healthy diet that has a lot of plant-based foods, you should be in great shape with your potassium, but we'll now be listing that in different products. So potassium is going to be a great way to tell how much of a product is from these plant-based awesome whole foods, because you're going to need to be from those plant-based awesome whole foods if you're going to have that higher potassium level. So that's going to be a great way to really tell what's going on in your products. I want to segue now to talk about how do you actually look at a nutrition facts panel. What are the things that I look at if I'm trying to decide if a product is good to eat or not? So when it comes to how I actually choose a product, I look at a few different things. So first, the main thing I'm really looking at is the servings. What's the serving size, how many servings are in a package, and then the calories based on those servings. So I always want to start with the serving size to make sure that I know how much I'm actually expecting to consume, to see the actual amount of food that I will be consuming, and to just get a sense, am I going to be eating 1 serving, 2 servings? What's going to really be happening here? And it helps me reframe everything else that I see on the package. So first, you're looking at your serving sizes and the servings in each container. Second, I then look at the amount of carbs and then that balance of total carbs to total fat and total protein. So I look at those 3 main macronutrients and look at the ratios between them. What I'm looking for is to make sure that there is some fat and some protein in the product, preferably even higher protein than even higher fat, and then that the carbs are not too high. If it's something like there's 40 carbs and 1 gram of fat, that's not a good thing. If there's like 20 carbs and 6 or 7 grams of fat, that's a much better ratio that I'm looking for. So I want that ratio of carbs to fat and protein to get closer and closer to 1. So lower carbs, higher fat and protein, and that's a main thing that I'm looking for when I look at my products. Once I've actually looked at the ratio of carbs, fats, and proteins, then I look at the actual types of fats and carbs. So once I've looked at the total fat, I'll see, okay, what's the ratio of saturated and unsaturated? Got to make sure that there's absolutely no trans fats in there. And I'll also look at the actual carbohydrates. Is there higher fiber? So that's something else that's going to be very important as I look at the level of carbohydrates is there a good level of fiber in this product? Fiber is, again, a key thing that will help you know if this is a whole food product versus something that's been more refined. So you're looking for higher fiber. If this is a grain-based product, so something like a bread, you're looking for about 4 to 5 grams per serving, and that's a really great level to hit. If you are picking up a piece of bread and it's like 15 grams of fiber in a serving, that's pretty high, and that likely means that they've added some fiber in there, which is not a bad thing, but it might lead to some digestive issues. So you're looking for that moderate fiber levels. You don't want 15, 20 grams of fiber unless you want some stomach issues a little bit later in the day. So definitely take a look there if you are looking at your carb and fiber level. What do I look at when I look at a nutrition facts panel? We started with serving size. I want to know how many servings of things are in my product. I look at the ratio between carbs, fats, and proteins, lowering the carbs, increasing fat and protein. I look at the types of fat, making sure there's no trans fat. I look at the types of carbs, making sure that there's high enough fiber that I know that this is a whole plant-based product. And then from there, I'll actually start to look at the ingredients. I just want to check out and make sure that some sort of sugar is not the first ingredient. That's usually what I'm looking for. And just to see if there's any other watch outs, things that I don't like in the ingredient list. Again, this will be looking at the amounts of sugar, so to see if there are some added sugars in there. I personally don't consume a lot of soy products because soy can interfere if you do have some issues with estrogen or with your thyroid. So I try to see and make sure that there's not soy products as a main part of what I'm eating. And you can check out for any other ingredients that you're looking out for. So that's what I do when I am looking through a nutrition facts panel. That's what I do to really help me decide if this product is healthy or not. A great resource that I really love is this app called Food-Ucate. So it's like educate, but Food-Ucate. And why Food-Ucate is so amazing is that you can scan a barcode. It will tell you the good things, the bad things about the label, and then actually suggest some other healthier alternatives. And so it's really an amazing way to be able to check in and see what products are doing good, which products aren't so great, and what would be the best. So as I mentioned, these changes to the Nutrition Facts panel aren't going to be coming into full effect until 2018 and 2019. But there's some really important lessons for us now on how we look at our Nutrition Facts panel. So the first thing to know is that you want to be checking out your serving sizes. They're going to change from product to product, and you want to know, is this one serving that I'm having actually one serving, or am I actually consuming 2 or 3 servings in one sitting? So you really want to look at your serving sizes. Knowing that the amount of fat is less important than the types of fats. So staying away from trans fats, potentially limiting some of your saturated fats, those are going to be more important than actually looking at the straight amount of fat that's in a product. The third thing is added sugars, and knowing that that right now they're not listed on our Nutrition Facts panel, so you need to go down and look at the ingredients to be able to tell if there are added sugars in a product. So don't just look at the number of carbs and sugars, you need to actually go down to the ingredients list to actually see that. And then also knowing the importance of vitamin D and potassium in our diets. Potassium is super important for our muscles functioning, to help balance out sodium and blood pressure. Vitamin D is so important for our immune systems, for our energy levels, for our calcium levels, and most of us don't have enough of it. So we will now be labeling vitamin D on our Nutrition Facts panels. So definitely make sure that you're getting your levels tested, particularly if you live up north, particularly if you're not outside a lot, and if you wear a lot of sunscreen. So that's what's up with the new Nutrition Facts panels. Thank you guys so much for joining me on this call and on this video. If you have more questions or questions about either Nutrition Facts panels or anything else about nutrition, in fact, you can join us in our free Facebook group. It's called Happy Healthy Humans. That's where you can ask your questions, and then I'll take them live here on Facebook Live and Periscope. You can also catch me on Snapchat and Twitter. I'm at Happy Healthy Sam, as well as Instagram, Happy Healthy Sam. And that's another great place to send me a message so that I can see it and let you know when we'll be going live here on Periscope and Facebook Live, and also answer your questions. It's been great to have you guys all joining. Make sure you follow along, and I hope you guys have a fabulous day. Thanks, guys. Bye.